Hello, and welcome to my in-depth one-year ownership review of the Suzuki V-Strom 250SX. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and I want to start by apologizing for the absence of the actual video footage. Unfortunately, the recording equipment malfunctioned, leaving me with only the audio to work with. Still, I'm here to give you a comprehensive review of the bike based on my experiences over the past year. Let me start at the beginning. I purchased the V-Strom 250SX in September of 2023, and it was a bit of a milestone for me. This was my first bike, making the experience quite special. I had taken motorcycle lessons about 7 years ago, but I hadn't really ridden since then. When I finally decided to take the plunge and get my own bike, the V-Strom 250SX seemed like the perfect choice for a beginner who also wanted something with a bit of versatility and adventure capability. The very first thing I did after purchasing the bike was to get a new helmet fitted. Safety first, right? I went for a quality helmet that had a snug fit and good ventilation, knowing I'd be doing a mix of city riding and some longer trips. Starting off, the V-Strom has been an excellent bike to learn on. It's got enough power to make it fun and versatile, but not so much that it feels overwhelming for a new rider. About 2 weeks into owning it, I had a small accident where I dropped the bike. It was a low-speed drop when I lost my balance trying to maneuver it around a tight turn. Thankfully, the bike didn't suffer much damage, and since then, I haven't had any incidents. One of the things that impressed me about the V-Strom 250SX is the affordability of replacement parts and accessories. After that first drop, I had to replace the shifter, and I was pleasantly surprised at how reasonably priced it was. It's good to know that if I ever need to do more repairs or upgrades, it won't break the bank. Speaking of upgrades, I've added crash bars for some extra protection. Now, they aren't as aggressive-looking as some of the aftermarket options you see on bikes in India, where the adventure bike culture is quite popular, but they seem functional enough for light use. Thankfully, I haven't had to test them out in a real crash situation. When it comes to riding, I've had some fantastic experiences with this bike. Living in Gauteng, there are so many great places to ride, from city streets to open highways, and even some gravel roads if you're up for a bit of adventure. I've done several rides out to Mpumalanga with its beautiful landscapes and even made a few trips into the Northwest Province. These trips weren't particularly long, maybe a few hours each way, but they gave me a real appreciation for what the V-Strom 250SX is capable of. Now, I'm starting to consider taking the bike on some longer overnight trips. I'm planning to invest in a top box, which would give me some extra storage space for essentials like clothes, tools, and maybe even camping gear if I decide to really go for the adventure experience. I think that having a bike like this opens up a lot of opportunities for exploring more remote places without needing a heavy-duty off-road bike. When it comes to maintenance, I've kept up with the recommended service intervals. The first service was done just after the 1,000 kilometers mark, which was at the end of January 2024. Fast forward to September. On the anniversary date of purchasing the bike, I hit 5,000 kilometers. It's been a steady accumulation of kilometers. Speaking of its capabilities, let's talk about off-road riding for a bit. The V-Strom 250SX is advertised as a dual-sport bike, meaning it's designed to handle both paved roads and light off-roading. While I haven't done extensive off-roading myself, I've tested it out on some gravel and dirt paths. The bike feels stable and capable on loose surfaces, which gives me confidence in its ability to handle more challenging terrain in the future. I'm seriously considering taking some off-road riding lessons to develop my skills in that area. There's something about the freedom of riding on trails, away from the traffic and the city, that really appeals to me. It's one of the reasons I chose the V-Strom in the first place. Another aspect worth mentioning is the fuel economy. This bike is impressively economical if you keep your speeds under 95 kilometers per hour. I once managed to get almost 370 kilometers out of a single tank of fuel, and I suspect I still had about 20 kilometers of range left. For anyone who's looking for a bike that won't break the bank when it comes to fuel costs, the V-Strom 250SX is a great choice. Over the past year, the V-Strom has proven to be a reliable and enjoyable motorcycle. It's been a great companion for my reintroduction to riding, and I've learned a lot about motorcycle handling, maintenance, and safety. Even though I now have more than one bike in the garage, I still see myself keeping the V-Strom around for a while.